Yo, 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 welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got Paul George dropping a spicy take about his signature shoes, Shannon Sharp parting ways with his collection, more hype for the Wu-Tang Dunks, the week's hottest release, spoiler, it's the Wu-Tang Dunks, and of course, our Hard Pass. All right, let's start the show with some hot takes. So, congratulations to the Los Angeles Doyers on winning the World Series, beating the New York Yankees in 5 games. As an LA guy through and through, it's always cool to see our city bring home another championship. While we might not be the biggest baseball guys here on the show, our group chats were lit up on Wednesday as the Doyers celebrated their win in Yankee Stadium of all places. And despite suffering an injury and struggling throughout the series, it was great to see Shohei Ohtani finally experience what it's like to make it to the postseason after spending several years in Anaheim putting up Hall of Fame numbers on mediocre squads. If New Balance doesn't drop a blue, white, and gold edition of his Ohtani 1 trainers, like, what are we doing this for? Meanwhile, Jordan Brand adds another championship to their total thanks to Mookie Betts. Under Armour has to be pumped that their guy Freddie Freeman is World Series MVP, and Nike just went ahead and congratulated everybody, even non-Nike guys like Freeman and Ohtani, with a Hollywood-style in-credit scene with Randy Newman's I Love LA as the background music. It makes me wonder if they had Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind ready to go if the Yankees had won. They already used Frank Sinatra's New York, New York when the Liberty won the previous week, so it kind of makes sense. Anyway, Angel Reese. So she has a signature shoe, and we didn't even have to bully Reebok to make it happen. Good job, everybody. Along with the news that she has signed an extension with Reebok, her signature sneakers will drop in spring 2026, more than likely in time for her 3rd season in the WNBA. On the other hand, we love it when athletes get their signature shoes ASAP, but I think this time we'll give the brand a chance to really cook and put together a sneaker that is well thought out and reflective of current trends. She'll be in a crowded space by the time her shoe drops, because not only will she contend with the men's signature shoes for attention, Puma will be releasing the latest Stewie, and Nike will have the latest from Asia Wilson and Sabrina Ionescu, and more than likely, Caitlin Clark. It's not going to be easy, but we think Angel is built for the moment, and we'll be looking forward to it for sure. Speaking of new signature shoes, Denver Nuggets superstar Nikola Jokic debuted his first signature shoe with Chinese brand 361 called the Joker 1. And I gotta say, it looks promising. Hey, it's even approved by Jaylen Brown, so that's something, right? Starting things off with the simple black and white colorway is a good choice because it gives us an idea of what is possible for the shoe without revealing too much in terms of wild colorways or themes. But what I like the most about the sneaker is that it'll be priced at $99. For a player of Joker's caliber, pricing his signature shoe below $100 is kind of a big deal. The only problem is that 361's name recognition in the US is near zero. But maybe that's not in the plans for Joker and 361, and it's more about selling the shoes to a Chinese audience. Like, look at Dwayne Wade's Way of Wade takedown models with Li Ning. So many of them never make it to the US, and it doesn't seem to be a big deal. It's probably the same deal for 361. That being said, if they make a PE that highlights Joker's love of harness racing, we're gonna need a pair of those in the studio for an unboxing. Just putting that out there, 361. Shout out to Unc, the multimedia superstar and proprietor of Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp put up 300 pairs of his sneakers from his personal collection on Whatnot this weekend to start a scholarship fund for his alma mater, Savannah State University. Chad Ochocinco was also a part of the event, but I'm not sure I need to go through all these hoops to pick up a pair of his sneakers since they're just $40 at H&M. I'd much rather donate to Unc's scholarship fund if that's the case. Anyways, congrats to Shannon. Hopefully he can shut up the comments and show off his exclusive LeBrons that he has left since he's such a huge fan of the King. We can only take so many, if you're such a fan of LeBron, why do you only flex in Jordan's comments before we absolutely lose it here at the show. Like, let's take a look at Deion Sanders. We know there's a mutual admiration between Coach Prime and LeBron. LeBron has worn several signature shoes that were tributes to Coach Prime's own signature diamond turfs from back in the days, not to mention he gifted Coach with some exclusives that no one else has. Well, I shouldn't say no one, because Travis Hunter barged in and borrowed a pair of Nike LeBron 21s with the DT Max 96 overlay. Thankfully, Coach has another pair, so Travis doesn't technically own one of ones. By the way, I'm not the only one who finds it funny that those LeBrons are in Ohio State colors, right? It's how you know we're living in a different era, man. Could you imagine the legendary football coaches of the past keeping a pair of cleats in their office in the colors of another rival team? It goes to show you that even though these coaches and players take the game seriously, these rivalries that fans make up in their heads are not as serious to them. And that's okay. Well, it looks like our dreams of seeing Michael Jordan on an F1 grid are getting bleaker by the day because he is having the time of his life as a NASCAR team owner. Last week, his 2311 racing team and driver Tyler Reddick advanced to the NASCAR Cup Series championship. And man, look how happy he is. Like, look at him tackle Reddick in this clip. This is the Michael Jordan that we need, people. Happy, loving life, winning, wearing the Air Jordan 3 Craft and relaxed fit pants. Why would he trade that for the challenge of being in the back of the F1 grid competing with the likes of Alpine and Sauber for 8th place? Nah, let him enjoy this moment, and maybe in a few years and a championship or two later, he gets the itch. But for now, we're going to get so many clip memes of happy drunk MJ, and the world is better for it. So Paul George was a guest on Sneaker Shopping, and he dropped an interesting claim. He says that his signature line with Nike is a top 5 all time at the swoosh. Okay, that's certainly a take that he's entitled to. If I had a Nike signature shoe that ended even though I was still in my prime playing years, I would still call my shoe the GOAT. No disrespect to potential NASCAR champion Michael Jordan. But since I don't have a Nike signature shoe line, let's explore PG's potential spot. Joe LaPuma was kind of egging him on to declare himself top 3, but George didn't take the bait and was diplomatic with the top 5. If we're talking top 5 all time at Nike, including other sports, Paul has no shot. He's not leapfrogging Andre Agassi's Tech Challenge line or Deion Sanders' Diamond Turfs or even Tiger Woods' long list of golf shoes. If we limit it to only basketball, George maybe has a fighting chance. Okay, let's see. Number 1 is undisputed. No need to even mention who it is. Number 2 and 3 and 4 is a battle between LeBron, Kobe, and Penny, and our opinion can be swayed on who was number 2 depending on the day, which leads us to number 5. Any number of signature lines can say they earned that spot. Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Paul, and Carmelo Anthony if you want to throw Jordan Brand into the mix. Hell, add Sabrina Ionescu and John Morant for purely chaotic purposes. We're not even including Kyrie in the discussion because he probably would like to be excluded from anything that has to do with Nike these days. Anyways, that's a lot of names, new and old, that PG has to beat to earn the number 5 spot. Let's see. He's above Ja, Sabrina, Giannis, maybe CP3 and Melo. But when you get to KD, Chuck, and Scotty, it's tough. Does any PG compare to the Air Pippen 1 or the CB34 or the KD4? I'm not so sure about that. Maybe top 10, Paul. Maybe top 10. Good try, though. Moving on to the pick of the week. It's the Wu-Tang Clan Nike Dunk High on November 9th for $150. It's not every day that Nike tries. What do I mean by that? Well, Nike doesn't really try anymore when it comes to marketing their new products. Yes, we still get the commercials and the big marketing campaigns when big events come up like the Super Bowl or the Olympics. Some of them are good, some are even great, but oftentimes they're just a catchy slogan that fades into the ether. Like, winning isn't for everyone. It's fine and all when Asia Wilson and LeBron James are flashing and flexing, but try that when you're motivating some kid and see how fast someone calls you an a-hole. Think about the last time you were so invested in a Nike ad that you couldn't wait for the next installment. Was it the good old days when Michael Jordan teamed up with Spike Lee or Bugs Bunny, or when Penny Hardaway had a diminutive BFF voiced by Chris Rock? Remember when King Griffey Jr. ran for president? How about when LeBron James had a family of LeBrons? Kobe Bryant stumped a pre-crisis Kanye West when he said that Ye needed to be a different animal, but the same beast. Hell, to this day, I still don't know what that means. Then there's Tiger Woods building Nike Golf off of a few tricks. Mary J. Blige covered a Stevie Wonder classic for a Jordan ad, and it made co-writer cry the first time he saw it. He cried the second time when he realized it was for the Air Jordan 15, but we don't need to talk about that. The point is, when Nike tries, we all win. And Nike is winning with this rollout of the Wu-Tang Dunks, man. Okay, we already talked about the limited edition friends and family package signed by the RZA that Nike sent out to the likes of Fat Joe and others last week. Then they took it to another level with the commercial that features the Villanova Knicks, aka Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. I wonder if there's a version of this ad out there with Dante DiVincenzo and they had to scramble for a reshoot when he got traded for the transcendent shooting big man Karl Anthony Towns, according to Karl Anthony Towns. It had New York snark, a subtle shot at the Brooklyn Nets, the goofy relationship between podcast partners Hart and Brunson, and the cheesy overdub that was a staple of Kung Fu films that influenced RZA. Like, it's just nice to see when Nike tries, you know? So, what does this mean for people who have been waiting decades to finally own a pair of the Grails? Well, any hope and dream you may have had of walking into a store and just picking these up with zero friction like they were a pair of KD4 Nerfs or First Game Zoom Generations or Royal Foamposites or really any number of iconic sneakers that Nike has brought back recently is out the window. These will sell out. And resale will be between double or triple the retail price. What's going to be interesting to observe is whether or not these will continue to rise in value because the demand is high, or if they will drop down to close to retail because the demand has been met. So, before we move on to Hard Pass, we want to take this time to acknowledge the passing of a titan in the sneaker world, DJ Clark Kent, aka God's favorite DJ. He passed away last week at the too young age of 58 to colon cancer. As the name implies, Kent, born Rodolfo Franklin, was a DJ first. His credits as a producer include classics like Player's Anthem by Junior Mafia, Loverboy by Mariah Carey, Sky's the Limit by Biggie and 112, and several tracks on Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt, including Brooklyn's Finest featuring Hove and Biggie. Kent's influence on Hove's rise can't be understated. He introduced his cousin Foxy Brown to Hove, and those two would go on to make some memorable records. According to Kent, when Biggie heard the beat for Brooklyn's Finest, he wanted it for himself. But when Kent said it was for Hove, who Biggie had never met in person prior, Biggie begged to be included. Kent's influence was so strong that Jay-Z admits Reasonable Doubt would not have happened without him. Now, that's a sliding doors moment in hip-hop if there ever was one. Imagine how different things would be if we never got that classic. And as influential as Clark was in the world of hip-hop, you could argue that his impact on the growth of the sneaker community made it what it is today. Mainstream? And it's just as important, if not more so. He understood the impact sneakers had on people's lives beyond just being something you put on your feet. It wasn't about the money or the clout that came with owning one of the most celebrated sneaker collections in the world. It was about the love of the game and how those sneakers made him, and by proxy his fans, feel. He was always ahead of the curve, working on collaboration with brands like Nike and Adidas and projects like Quick Strike with Russ Bankston for Complex. He was influencing before influencers were a thing. Kent also never had problems sharing his collection, as he gave away kicks as fast as he was probably buying them or receiving them. Besides the scavenger hunts that you would see him post on socials, he also gave away sneakers to homeless shelters and kids in need. For as large a collection as Kent had, you could never say he was a hoarder. Kent is survived by his wife, Keisha, her son, Antonio III, a stepdaughter, Cabria Franklin, and two siblings, Eric and Catherine Franklin. Our prayers are with his family and friends through this trying time. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers. Look, if you don't know by now and you're an American citizen, there is an election coming up this Tuesday. If you haven't done early voting, do yourself a favor and drop your ballot off now and save yourself the headache of lining up on Tuesday like it's 2011 and the Concords are coming out. If you're not registered to vote, please look up if you still can in your state. It would mean a lot to us here on the show if you participated in the democratic process. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about someone who really hasn't thought about the consequences of their actions, and that's Bosa. Last weekend, my 5-time Super Bowl champions, San Francisco 49ers, defeated the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, no big deal. The sky is blue, the grass is green, the Niners beat the Cowboys. That's just a fact of life. Even when the Cowboys were attempting what looked like a comeback of sorts, my nervousness meter was somewhere between -56. No Christian McCaffrey, no Brandon Ayuk, and less than 100% Deebo Samuels. No problem. It's the post-Cowboys 1995. No matter the situation, the Cowboys were going to Cowboys. Anyway, During the post-game interview, Embassy's Melissa Stark was getting ready to interview a trio of Niners when all of a sudden Bosa pops up wearing a white cap and some gold lettering and pointed at it. Now, if you're not a terminally online freak like we are, chances are you saw that and thought it was weird at Bosa to point at a cap that was barely visible. But if you're a terminally online freak like we are, you understood that Bosa was probably wearing a MAGA hat, but for some reason thought it would be a good idea to rock the alternate colorway. Dude, wear the OG red and white and leave no doubt. If you're going to rep for your set, at least do it right. And that's what it comes down to, at least in our opinion. We don't care that Bosa is MAGA, but if you're going to be an NFL player who wears a MAGA hat on company time, like say during a post-game interview that you weren't a part of, people are going to have questions and you better have some answers. But nah, he punted on it. Said it was an important time but didn't want to elaborate why. Said it was a different climate now and that's why he felt comfortable wearing the hat. Sure seems like the climate change is real because he switched hats between that run-in and media availability. He took the coward's way out. He didn't stand on business. He wanted all of the heat, but none of the smoke. It's no different than the time he tweeted out not so flattering things about Colin Kaepernick and Beyonce and even the movie Black Panther, but deleted them when he figured he was about to be drafted by the Niners. Like, I disagree with it, but I understand why people might not be a fan of Cap. Hey, I even get that some people might not be a fan of Beyonce's music, but to not like Cap, Bey, and Black Panther? Right. And then to delete those tweets the moment you realize you might be going to a team that's located in a part of a country that doesn't rock with that rhetoric? Right. Look, if Bosa had answers with a response that articulated why it was an important time to wear that hat, fair play. As bizarre as this sounds, the same people who want LeBron or KD to shut up and dribble would have no problem making Bosa the MAGA Kaepernick. But he ducked the question, and that's a shame. We would expect answers from other athletes who wear a Harris Waltz hat or takes a picture with RFK Jr. when he's not leaving dead bear clubs in Central Park. Wait, he actually admitted to it, so it's not even allegedly. What timeline are we living in? Make it stop. Look, we might be a sneaker show most of the time, but if you've been following us since the start of the show, you probably have an idea where Hard Pass stands on a lot of things. Just don't expect us to barge in on a different show and make things uncomfortable with our Ken Griffey Jr. for President poster in the back. Besides, we're not even sure how a flat tax would work in 2024. We're not economists. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching Hard Pass. I'm Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before we leave you with the viewer Hard Pass.
I don't trust nobody in Team Jordan. Just stick with forces if that's all you can afford. 4 in the morning, you know who blowing my phone up. I ain't even going to ignore it, just going to act like I don't know it. I be colder than pneumonia. I told you over and over, I know when you want to go against, but let's go, I guess. I would rather die a broke no one than to have to get in character when anyone pull a phone out. It's Mikey. Shouts out, Jacques. Love you, bro. Thank you. Keep it up.
That might be the first Hard Pass freestyle ever, huh? Would not mind it if others sent their bars this way. You guys rap, send it in. Just make sure it's an actual Hard Pass, you know? Anyways, if you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.